All right, lady, we are so excited for today's guest. We have a special guest who's going to help you reach your body goals, hashtag body goals, by examining your relationship with food. As the co-founder of Culina Health, Vanessa, as the co-founder of Culina Health, Vanessa Rissetto, her magic lies in her realistic and personalized approach to nutrition. With science as her first love, she is interested in helping clients take an active role in their health journey with the help of her expertise. Personalized lifestyle plans backed by evidence based, science driven nutrition counseling, adult weight management, and building a better relationship with food. Vanessa received her Master of Science in Marketing at NYU and completed her dietetic. Y'all, it's been a long day. Okay. This is going to be in our Patreon. So if you're watching on Patreon, it's been a long day, lady. Okay. We'll edit this out for the audio recording. Let's do this one more time. Vanessa received her Master of Science in Marketing at NYU and completed her dietetic internship at Mount Sinai Hospital, where she worked as a senior dietitian for 5 years. So impressive. Hashtag Black Girl Magic. Welcome to the show, Vanessa. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's
You're
so
so
exciting to be
welcome.
here.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're so welcome.
Yes, we are looking forward to this conversation. Or let me speak for myself because I know I am because I got questions.
I'm here for
So
it.
let's start with our quote of the day. And Vanessa, this quote of the day will sound really familiar to you because it is one of your taglines for Culina Health.
Boy.
Our quote of the day is "Stop stressing about food. Start living your life."
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So, you know, when I saw that on the tagline, I was like, okay, no, this needs to be our quote of the day because I was like, oh, I can relate to this. And I know so many people can. So, Vanessa, what inspired that particular tagline?
Sure. I think that nutrition is a new, it's not, I think, I know, nutrition is a new science and everyone is confused and no one knows what to do. And I say this all the time, the space is very fragmented because a lot of people are saying the thing that they think is going to get them noticed. And because they're trying to compete with the Kim Kardashians and the Gwyneth Paltrows of the world. And the thing here is that no one actually cares what I, Vanessa Rossetto, am eating, but they do care what Kim K and um, Gwyneth are eating, right? And so that's where the problem lies, right? And so then you have people in the space who are educated who are not doing the right things, and they're just saying like, do it this way or do it that way, or they're giving you some like pretend magical solution of like food freedom without context, and nobody knows what's up. So people are literally freaking out and they think that they have to prepare these perfect meals that all look the same, or they have to have 37 ingredient recipes in order to be healthy, or that they have to be vegan or they have to be organic, and they like just don't know what to do, and they stress and then they're paralyzed, and then they just give up, and then they're eating who even knows what, right? And then it's just this rinse and repeat cycle because it's super confusing. So if you approach it to from a place of like, I'm doing what's right for me. My goal is not the same as your goal, not the same as this person's goal to the left or this person's goal to the right. And so maybe that looks like better gut health. Maybe that looks like weight loss. Maybe that looks like just understanding food because it's complex and weird and everybody has a relationship, and those relationships are complex and they're driven by a lot of factors. Starting there first can help you have a better foundation and better success.
Beautifully stated. That
Yes,
I felt like you were all up in my business, all up in the
mine
driveway of the home,
too.
right?
Oh,
So I do want to ask a question that you just actually made me think of, Vanessa. So let's say that someone is, they're tuning in and they're like, you know what, I'm looking in the mirror. I don't really like the way that my body looks. I want to make some changes by way of my diet, but what's the best way to understand like where you are as far as what's best for you? Like how would a regular person that's not a dietitian figure out like what works best for me if they don't really know where to begin? Because as you can imagine, the internet is just like overwhelming.
A mess. The internet is like a good and also like dangerous, dark, and hilarious place, like all at the same time. It's
Yep.
it's a mess. Like at night, at night I'm on some crazy things, like crazy Karen, the TikTok. My husband's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I need to know what's happening in the world."
Yeah. TikTok. Oh
But
my gosh.
that's a
Yes.
different podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a different
No, we'll
time.
dive into it later.
Yeah, later. Okay, so here's the thing, right? First of all, for a really long time, it seemed that if you wanted to be healthy, you had to be like rich, thin, and white, which is literally not this population. So I've been pitching to investors and I talk about this all the time, right? Why do people use Noom and Weight Watchers? Because it seems that those are cheaper than a registered dietitian. Because in 2013, the New York Times did this whole thing about this dietitian who charged $10,000 for a package of sessions. And that made it seem that if you didn't have $10,000, then you wouldn't be able to afford health and wellness. So for so long, it just seemed like health and wellness meant that you were thin, rich, and white. That was it. There's no space. And so now there is this whole movement where, you know what, all foods fit and all bodies are beautiful. And you don't have to be emaciately thin and you don't have to be rich and you could still be healthy. So that's the first thing. The second thing, too, is that in case you guys don't know, I'm going to be the first one to tell you nutrition is considered prevention and you have insurance coverage for that. So go find the dietitian that takes your insurance. Culina takes insurance. You don't have to come to us, but go find one. I don't care who it is. So that's a first good place for you to start if you'd like. Um, but just start by thinking, what is something that you want to change? Not about your appearance, but about your every single day. So everybody knows you should eat a vegetable. It's not because it's going to give you some great weight loss or whatever. Like vegetables are good. They have vitamins, they have minerals, they have fiber, they help keep your gut health good. So, like, have a vegetable. Okay, I know that I only eat a vegetable once a week. So, this week I'm going to try to eat a vegetable every other day and see how it works out. That's like a pretty easy and like attainable goal, right? Like if you like carrots, just put carrots next to your plate at lunch and that'll be an easy thing. Or I don't drink enough water and I should drink water. Water is good for you. Our bodies are 98% water. Let's drink water. So let's swap out, but I like to drink a lot of juice. Well, if I drink 7 glasses of juice a day, let me try drinking 3 glasses of juice and the rest water, or 3 glasses of water. Like whatever it is, just take one small little step that you can be successful at every single day that you could feel really good about and then build upon that moving forward.
Love
I
it.
like that. Attainable goals. Like, yeah, I think that kind of removes some of the psychological barrier around taking these steps, these necessary steps to make the changes that you're trying to make. So, as I'm listening to you talk, Vanessa, like you are incredibly passionate about this work. So tell us, how did you come into being a dietitian? Like what fueled your interest? And then also tell us about the founding of Culina Health.
Sure. I say this all the time when I'm talking to investors that I'm my parents' biggest disappointment because I'm not a doctor. I'm first generation. My parents are Haitian. So they're like, you're a dietitian? Why? What is that doing? And then it was so funny the other day, my aunt saw me in Bon Appetit and she was like to my mom, like, oh my God, I was at the supermarket. I opened Bon Appetit and there is Vanessa. And my mom is like, yeah, but she's not a doctor. It's like
Oh, no, come on,
these
mom.
these
Come
Haitians are
on,
just
mom.
like they go in like it's not good. Um, so I have to I'm very lucky, right? My parents like I never had a scale in my house. Weight wasn't a thing. I was always thin. I don't know. I didn't think about food. My parents cooked the food and I ate it. Like my parents are from a third world country. So there's food that they can cook because my parents talk about like in Haiti, no matter how wealthy you are, and they both grew up very wealthy, is that if there's no infrastructure. So if there's a hurricane and it washes away a bridge and the truck can't come to give you petroleum, you're not going to have electricity and no one can cook food. So no one's going to have food for X amount of days. Doesn't matter how much money you have. You got to get a flight to Miami, sort of thing. So here, it's like, here's the food, we cook it and you eat it, and that's how I grew up. But the bad part is that the day that I was leaving for college, my mom was like folding my laundry and giving me food to take to my dorm. Like the first time I ever had macaroni and cheese in a hot pot where like my white roommate was making it for me, and I was like, "Oh, your mother does not love you. Like, what is this box macaroni and cheese? What is going on here?" I was
Mm-mm,
like, "These
nah.
people." I was like,
Exactly.
"Oh,
Oh,
their parents don't love that. What is
That,
this? This is crazy." And I would call my parents and be like, "I'm so hungry," and they would drive and bring me food. I mean, this is
oh
like true,
wow.
and like
That's love.
this is like to this day, my kids call my mother and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, mommy made rice. That's not good." She's like, "Ugh," and she'll like make a whole meal and be like, "Send your husband to pick up the food." This is a generational.
stop.
This is the thing. But the bad part was that they left me in the Bronx, and I could eat and do whatever I wanted. So then I gained 50 pounds eating Sbarro pizza and, White Castle. That was the food available to me. And then like the meal plan food that was gross. So then I gained all this weight. I went back home though. And when I moved back home, I lost 50 pounds, I think in like 2.5 or 3 months, because I just went back to eating my mother's food. So like that was it, right? It wasn't about the fact that I was necessarily unhealthy per se, is that I didn't actually really know, and I was just doing what was available to me, which is literally one of the most eye-opening experience, right? I went to college in the South Bronx. I went to Fordham University. So all that is available to me is pizza, Italian food in the area, and that like we at 4 o'clock in the morning we would go to the Arthur Ave bakery and eat bread, like hot bread. They would give it to us. Like we didn't know anything about food. So of course we're
Yeah.
gaining all this weight, right? There's no knowledge. And then I lost all this weight and I thought like, huh, this is interesting. And I graduated college in 2000. So that's when everybody was talking about Atkins. And so, like, no carbs, no bread, no rice. And I'm like, well, I eat rice every day. Because in my parents' house, like, rice and beans is like like, that's just there. Like, rice is every day.
Same.
If
Same.
if they make you a lasagna, like, there's rice and beans. If they made potatoes and pasta, rice and beans is still, that's not a side. That's just there. Like, because if you don't want to eat what they made, you could have that. So I ate rice every day, and I'm like, I still lost weight, so I'm not sure. So then I got a master's in marketing, worked in marketing for a while, but I was always interested in science and clinical work and medicine and those kinds of things. So I went to a dietitian because I was curious about how I lost weight. I had like, foresight to be like, let me ask a professional how this works. So I went to see this woman, Carrie Glassman, who's a good friend of mine to this day. She explained food to me in a very easy, basic science way. Like, this is what happens when you eat a carb, protein, fat. This is how you should eat food. No food was off the table. This is what your day should look like. Like, okay, like always eat a vegetable at lunch and dinner, eat one piece of fruit a day, do not drink your calories. Like, that's it. She's like, why do you want to drink juice? It's just like empty. Why are you drinking soda? It's literally chemicals that are going to give you cancer and kill you. Like, don't do those things. Fine if you want to, even alcohol. She was like, you drinking alcohol all the time? Like, yeah, okay, it's cool, but like there is a cutoff. You're like, okay. Everything was sound. It was not, she didn't vilify any food. She was like, you want to eat rice and beans? The serving size is half a cup. So the rice should not be the star. And she understood. She was like, in a culture, if your parents come from a third world country, of course rice is going to be the star because that's the cheapest thing, and meat is like a luxury meal. But like you're not in a third world country anymore, so there's abundance of food. So you're going to switch this around. Like, okay, make total sense. And so then I went on to lose like another 15 pounds, and I wasn't working hard. I just did what the woman told me to do. And then I was like, oh, I should do this for people. Like, I should go to school and do this for
Yeah.
people. This is cool. So I went to NYU and took classes and then worked in the hospital where I got really good at disseminating information to people no matter what their health literacy is. I worked at Mount Sinai for a long time, and the juxtaposition of placement of Mount Sinai, it's across the street from a housing project, but many, many celebrities go there. So I have had like Tony Braxton's manager was, or and that's no, I'm sorry, Lady Gaga's manager is Tony Braxton's brother-in-law was in my MICU once. Matt Damon, his wife had babies there all the time. Like it was a whole thing. So you saw all these, and then all the people in between. So because of that, you get really good at talking to people and understanding people and the like. And so that was cool and that was really fun. But there's like a there's like a stop. You can't make a lot of money working in the hospital. You kind of get bored after a while. And after a while, it wasn't about like patient care. More so, it was more about patient satisfaction. So, what are you doing to make sure that the hospital press scores are high? And that didn't really feel good. So I worked in other areas of nutrition, and then I decided I was going to have a private practice, which I did, and that was fine, but I was alone. So then Tamar, my co-founder, called me up one day and was like, "Hey, let's collaborate. Like we're two brown women, and there's no brown women running private practices. Like let's do it." Like okay. And then COVID happened. We were like, "Oh, but because of COVID, there was an acceleration of telehealth and reimbursement for that telehealth. And so people were like sick and tired of doing their Zoom parties and eating and drinking their feelings. So they started calling us. And then it just got busier and busier and busier. And now, 18 months later, we have 18 dietitians on the platform. We
What?
take, yeah, we take insurance.
Congratulations.
Thanks. We're almost
That's
at a mil
amazing.
we're almost at $1 million run rate, and 91% of our patients are billed through insurance. So only 9% of our patients are self-pay. So because our mission is to make sure that it is accessible to everyone.
That is incredible. That is
Yes.
wow. Vanessa, that's huge.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
crazy. It's crazy. And I think
What?
the thing too is that when I talk about Culina, or when we talk, it's not about me. It's about us. It's about the dietitians that we work with. They don't work for me. We work together. We learn from each other all the time. We talk about nutrition in a real authentic way. We're very relatable, and that comes through. So people want to work with us.
Now you said something about eating feelings, or you said something like that, and it just made me
Mhm.
think about emotional eating, right?
Yeah.
And I think many of us have heard the term. What does it actually mean to eat emotionally, and is it something that we should change?
Well, it really depends, right? So my grandmother, or the person I identified as my grandmother, would give me big, dark chocolate bars when I was a kid, like huge. So I'm obsessed with chocolate. And I think when I eat chocolate, it just brings up that good feeling of having my grandmother. And
Yes.
so I guess sometimes when I'm emotional, I maybe I overeat chocolate. I don't know. It's not like the end of the world, right? I'm not really harming myself because I'm eating like a few more mini Reese's peanut butter cups. If I am somebody who's eating pies of pizza and sleeves of cookies, and I'm not able to stop myself, and I'm doing it, I can really correlate every single time something is stressful, every single time I'm depressed, every single time I'm stressed out, I go and I eat and I overeat and I binge, and that's something that we have to talk about. But I think the first step is to try to understand the feelings around, and like those are things that we can help you navigate through. So a lot of times it's so interesting because I'll hear some dietitians say like you shouldn't track your food, and you shouldn't write it down, and it's like okay, I fine, I get it because that could make you neurotic, but if I'm trying to decide and discover patterns to help someone, then maybe for a little while it's helpful. So and I think that's the problem with the space right now, because everybody wants the magic solution. I want you to tell me the thing to do so that I don't want to eat a sleeve of Oreo cookies every night after my kids go to bed. Can you tell me that? What is the magic? What is that? Right. And so when someone is like, just be free and eventually everything will fall into place. Well, that's not like really true, because as adults, we don't have like those mechanisms are really broken. Those are things that we have to work on with children. So we can try to do this with children now, but like as an adult, it's really hard to repair that if you really have this relationship with food where you are where you can't self-regulate, and so maybe you need a little bit of help, and there are tools that we know that can help you. So it's really a everyone has a relationship with food, and that relationship is complex. So it's definitely personalized. So we have to sit and talk with you and understand you and your habits and your day and what your past was like. What was your first introduction of food? Were you ever food insecure? What like did your parents use food as a bribe? Did your mother have an eating disorder? Did your aunts have eating disorders? Did you grow up with your grandparents? Did your grandmother tell you that you were fat all the time? I mean, it is so deep that you can't just be like, it's all good. We'll work through it. Like that doesn't work like that.
That is so real. Like, as I think about like the clients that I work with, and when we talk about anxiety and we talk about depression and we talk about coping with the pandemic, like you mentioned earlier, food often comes up in that conversation. And so there we often hear the term, and so for me, when I am thinking about, well, how can I deeper deepen their connection, their understanding with food, that's not my area of expertise. And so usually I tell folks that you need to consult a nutritionist or a dietitian. Can you explain to us what the difference is between the two so that we know exactly what we need to ask for based on our needs?
Yeah, so a dietitian is the only one that's clinically trained, right? So it's like I will never tell somebody to go see a life coach. I'm like, "Nah, you gotta see a therapist. You need somebody with a degree," right? Like, I need to know that the people that I'm referring you to can handle you because I don't know the level of what's going on with you. Like, you could say you have anxiety, but, like, then I send you to a therapist and they're like, "This person is cutting." And you're like, "Okay, so a life coach was not gonna be able to help you." And so, it's the same thing with a registered dietitian. So, I take anatomy and physiology, biochem, organic chemistry. I sit next to med students and nursing students, and I do a 1,200-hour internship in the hospital. Then I sit for an exam. Anyone can wake up tomorrow and call themselves a nutritionist, and they do. And that is why the space is so fragmented because these people who don't really have a lot of knowledge, who just have like bits and pieces, and they have these sound bites, they're the ones disseminating this information. And they're the ones that people are noticing. And they have books. And like there's an influencer that I see who it's very sad because she definitely has an eating disorder. She has a book deal, she's verified. She tells people that she was so skinny because she had candida and gut issues, and she has all the physical manifestations that we learn about for someone with a very bad eating disorder. But here we are, like celebrating her with her 500,000 followers. And that is what's happening in this space. That's why I'm like, TikTok and Instagram are dangerous, dangerous place. And yeah, and so like the thing with food, right? It's like food is culture. Food is how you connect to people. Food is it brings up, really happy feelings, right? It could also bring up some dark feelings too. So it's a it's a muddy place to be if you have a lot of emotional issues around it. And a lot of people do. That's the other thing. I think people feel really shameful that they can't quote unquote control themselves. But, I tell people all the time, if you are very controlled all day long, super perfect in your mind, and really rigid, when you come home and you can decompress, what's the first thing to go? What do you do? This is when people open their refrigerators and they eat 3,000 calories worth of food and they haven't even sat down because it's this
That,
mindless place.
that makes so much sense.
It really does. And I like the way that you describe the difference between the two to let folks know, who they should go to based on where they are in their lives. When you think about nutrition, is there anything that you wish more women knew about nutrition in general?
Yeah, I think that people have to give themselves a lot of grace because they're comparing themselves to people with like a million resources. Like, y'all, I'm trying to look like Jane Fonda at 83. I'm trying to look like J Lo at 52, but I don't have their money. You know what I mean? I don't have
Okay.
I don't have the ability for someone to take a cherry tomato and make it taste like a chocolate covered strawberries. I just don't. I don't have someone that's gonna take my kids to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, my husband will do it for me, but you know what I mean? Like, so you have to be realistic. You are not you cannot do what they do. Also, like if you think about J Lo, she doesn't drink alcohol, she doesn't eat rice. She's Puerto Rican. You don't eat rice. Like this is not a happy thing. So like, but like what? You
That's
don't
real though.
this
That's a valid point.
yeah, like you don't eat rice and you Puerto Rican. I don't understand. But okay, if that's how you doing it, that's how you doing it. So yeah, you want to look like her. She's she's working. So don't start to get yourself discouraged because you don't fit something when you aren't even you're not even on the same playing field with as this person. So that's number one. Also, if we all ate the same thing every single day, all of our bodies would be different. Like, I had my daughter, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I was like, I gotta make some doctor talk to her about puberty because I don't want these Catholic school nuns talking to her about something. I don't know. It's scary. So I had her go on this Zoom, and it was a doctor, a female doctor with other 8 to 10-year-olds talking about puberty. And the doctor was like, okay, she showed bodies. She's like, all of these bodies are going through puberty. They all look different, but they are all normal and they are all beautiful. And there was really small body and a really large body and bodies in between. And I'm like, exactly. Everybody's going to go through the same thing, or they might be doing the same thing, but everybody's body is different and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's a really good point, especially in
Yes.
this day and age when I know we've talked about like plastic surgery on our channel, which we totally, it's a woman's choice to do that. But I think there's a lot of like body dysmorphia that we're seeing on social
Yeah. Yeah.
media and things like that in
Yeah.
comparison. So I'm so glad you made that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that point that you're making too, that everybody's body is different, and like this negative comparison of ourselves to others, it can fuel some of those dangerous or unhealthy eating patterns. And so as I'm thinking about it, at the time that we're recording this and the time the episode will air, we're coming up on the holiday season. Now I know I only speak for myself that there are just lots of really delicious, decadent dishes that I love to have around the holidays.
Hmm.
And so, what would be your suggestions for folks who are saying, well, I want to be more mindful about my eating habits as I move into this holiday season and the warmer weather when we tend to consume, I don't know if unhealthy is the word, but heavier portions of
Sure.
food?
Yeah, I think it's not even that it's unhealthy per se, it's that it's a lot of celebrating day after day after day, right? Like, I'm like, "Oh, well, here's Halloween. It's that first Reese's peanut butter cup is like the descent into a mess. Like, you can't, that's it. It's over after this." And so then it's like, "Oh, let's get together like holiday cheer and like Thanksgiving, we're gonna have like 4 Friendsgivings, and then we're gonna have our family Thanksgiving, and then it's December, and oh, it's a cookie swap, and it's a cocktail this and and you're like, what? Do I need to go to every single thing? That's number one. Like, what? First of all, what is the goal? If the goal is, if it's every year at the holidays, I gain 10 pounds and then I have to work for 6 months to get it off. Okay, so the goal is this year not to gain the 10 pounds. Okay, fine. First of all, don't starve yourself for anything that you're going to. This is like, I don't know why nobody gets this yet, but if forever, everyone's like, I'm just not going to eat and I'm going to go to this party tonight and I'm going to eat. And we're like, eat your food, eat your regular meals, so that when you go to the party, you don't have to go put your fingers in the chip dip and the meats and the cheeses because you ate normally and you had a snack before you left your house. So you can omit those things and eat the regular meal. Also, if you know that it's just going to be cocktails and appetizers, eat a regular meal, your normal sized meal, so that then you just go and you have some cocktails with your friends, maybe like a small dessert. But again, you didn't overdo it, right? Then you don't have to go to every single thing. Stay home, y'all. Don't you want to go to sleep? I'm tired. You can't catch me out. I'm like, nope, I don't want your drinks. I don't want your desserts. I don't want your cookie swap. Leave it at your house. So it's got to be like my people to go out. And I get we have obligations and whatever, but say to yourself, okay, these are work people. How many of you? I mean, I do have some work people that are like ride or die, but really just like these are work people. 2 hours, one drink, bye. Gotta go. And make your plan with your husband, your partner, your sister, your best friend to be like, oh, actually, I have a dinner with somebody that I really want to be in that person's company, and you can have something low key. It doesn't have to be over the top. Those are just like really basic strategies. But when one year my husband was like, God, every day is a party. I'm like, fam, stay home. His face was like, oh yeah, I could just stay home. I'm like, yes.
Like that's an option.
That's an option. He was like, I had no idea. Like,
Right?
yo, why do you have to go? Especially now that it's
Yeah.
COVID, guys. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have
It's
to go anywhere.
Such a great
honestly
excuse.
right. That, yeah. COVID, and I would say having a newborn. So I hopefully
Oh
you all
yeah,
don't hear the newborn in the background, but having a baby too, I'm like, oh, this is the best
you're
excuse
free.
ever.
You're
Oh my
free.
gosh.
You are
Yes.
so free. You are the luckiest, Terry, because you're just like,
Seriously.
oops, sorry, COVID baby, bye,
And
bye.
people
And
get
everyone's
it.
like,
They're just like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So
yeah,
amazing.
because we
Okay.
don't want to give your baby COVID. So no, stay home, stay home.
Okay, that part. Now, in one of your interviews, Vanessa, you talked about the importance of pairing carbs, protein, and fats in each meal. Can you
Yep.
talk about the importance of that? Because I feel like that is such an easy tip that we can all use in our day to day, whether it's breakfast,
Mhm.
snack, lunch, dinner, whatever. So, why is that
Yep.
important?
Yep. So here's your biochemistry lesson. So I counsel off the diabetic exchange. Really easy and flexible. Here you go. If you eat too many carbs, or if you eat only carb at breakfast, for example, what happens? It spikes your blood sugar. It tells your liver make calories and store fat. It mobilizes insulin to help with the carbohydrates to enter the cells because carb is our main source of energy. Insulin is a storage hormone. So if you have too much insulin, your weight is going to be up. But if you have protein, fat, and carb in the right amount, instead of your blood sugar spiking, your blood sugar will just like come up and just stay steady. So you're not going to have this really intense burst of insulin coming out. So that's why I always say, like, right? it, Type 1 diabetics are always really thin because they don't have any insulin usually. And type 2 diabetics are overweight, sometimes obese, because they have too much insulin, this dysregulation of insulin. So that's the way to look at it. So pairing your food, never omitting anything. And so some really easy ways, right? Like you eat a banana by itself. Like, okay, that's just calories and there's some fiber in there but where's the protein, where's the fat? So add peanut butter on there, that's protein and fat, and there you go, you just did it. Or if you're having berries, for example, like raspberries have 8 grams of fiber. That's a good amount of fiber, but they don't have any protein or fat. So you can make an oatmeal and add some chia and peanut butter. You can have some pistachios just to like even that out, or a cheese stick. Or if you're eating like chicken, right? Then and you have like broccoli, well then where's your starch? So you could have a half a cup of rice and beans, or earlier I had squash, like whatever that is, just to make sure that you are stabilizing your blood sugar. And also, when you don't omit any macronutrient, protein, fat, and carb, then you're not going to be hungry. So when you omit carbs in the earlier in the day, at night, you're just going to crave them. You're not doing yourself any favor. so so front load them in the day so that at night you're not looking for cookies while you're watching television.
I gotcha. Noted. I've made a note. You must have saw me with the cookies last night. I've made
It's
a
okay,
note.
but you have a
Me
Okay.
too.
newborn. You have a
Yes.
newborn. It's
Thank you.
different. All bets
Yes.
off. All bets off.
Yes.
You
There
do.
we go.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear, Vanessa.
You sustain that baby's life for 9 months, 10 months. Now you got to
Yes.
sustain that baby's life for the next 12 months. Make sure that they
Yes.
are getting their life together. Like
Oh, the
you good.
breastfeeding and all the
Yeah.
yes, I
You
love
do
it.
whatever you want. Eat whatever you
Yes.
want. Do whatever you want. You need to sleep and feed your baby. That's it.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. So now, I mean, I don't have any kids. So now I need, what's my reason? How can I eat cookies? I love golden Oreos. So, like,
Oh,
how, and I usually limit myself to one serving a day.
so
How,
just two,
uh, it's three.
three. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. See, that's how I know. I,
Don't take that away from me. Don't take it away. You deserve the cookies. If listen, 3 cookies a day is not ruining anyone's life.
Thank you.
Why should you restrict yourself? If you said, Vanessa, I eat a sleeve and a half of Oreos a day, we have a problem. That's
Yeah, that would be a problem.
because that would tell me that in the day you're not eating enough carbohydrate, and so you don't have enough fruits, you don't have enough vegetables, you're not varying your
Ah,
diet. You know what I mean? Like that is the indicator to me. So, but 3 little cookies a day, please enjoy.
okay.
It's
Okay.
it,
I
it's
will.
fine. That's the
I
thing. It's like,
will.
yeah, people feel guilty about stuff. I mean, the other day I did. So Trader Joe's sells these dark chocolate sea salt mini graham crackers. Those things cannot come to my house. Woo, so good. So I buy them
Ooh.
for the kids' lunch box because I do a little bento box and I put like a little chocolate here, spread it out. The other day, my son Rocco, he was like, "Mama, where are the graham crackers?" I was like, "Fam, mommy ate them." He was like, "Okay." He's like, "Can you buy them again?" I was like, "No, these things cannot come to my house because they're so tiny and you're just popping them in your mouth, right?" So there's that. But when you're telling me that you have 3 and you feel satisfied and you're moving on with your day,
Yeah.
it's good.
Oh, thank
See?
you. All
Yeah.
right.
See,
Yeah.
lady, we told you. Vanessa got us. Vanessa got us. So,
Yeah.
Vanessa, we are at the point in the conversation where we want to shift up the energy a
Okay.
little bit, okay? And because we recognize, appreciate, and celebrate the multifaceted woman, and we believe that it's okay to be bougie, classy, and ratchet,
I
right?
love
You
it.
can still be elegant and dance to strip club music if you so choose. We
Sure.
want to invite you to the Oh You Blatchet segment. So, do you take on the challenge?
I take it on. I don't know what it is, but I'm into it.
Yes.
Let's do
We
it.
love that you we love that
Yes.
you agreed before checking in. So we're going to tell
Yeah.
you what you agreed to right now.
Okay. I'm
So we're going
scared.
to ask you we're
Don't
going
be
to ask you
scared.
three
It's
questions.
okay.
Don't be
Okay.
scared. Don't be scared. Three
Okay.
questions. That's it. Three
Okay.
questions. We're going to
Okay.
share three sentence completions and then
Okay.
we have three photos pulled up of you on the big screen and we're going to share the screen and you
Okay.
have to choose between one of these three photos and give
Okay.
us more context on something that we could not see or something we wouldn't know based on the photo that you choose.
Okay.
Ready to go?
I'm ready. This is
All right,
good.
let's do it. All right, Dr. Dom.
All right. So we're gonna start you off classy.
Okay.
Okay. What is the best piece of wisdom or advice you've ever received?
You got to pay to play.
Oh,
What does
I
that
like.
mean? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. So, you always know what you're in for, right? And so don't all of a sudden act brand new when it didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to. You got to, so if you're going to marry some guy that's really rich and you don't have to work because his parents are providing for you, but then he's not that nice to you, and now you want out, don't act new when you don't get anything.
Mhm.
You got to pay to play.
There
Oh,
See what
we
I mean?
have it.
Got to
There
pay
we
to play.
have it. You got to pay to play.
pay
Y'all
to
heard
You got to
it.
play.
pay to
Y'all
play.
heard it.
Got to pay
Now,
to
this,
play.
this next question is a little more on the ratchet side, okay?
I'm
So,
ready.
Vanessa, I have four words for you:
Okay.
twerk or two step.
Twerk.
Yes.
I love how
She's
easily
like,
that answer came.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
no
of course.
question.
I'm like, what?
Twerk, of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna twerk. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Megan Thee Stallion is my guilty pleasure, by the way.
Oh,
I
Same.
yes.
I
Yes.
love her so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
Of
Blast
course.
her in the car, and when you really listen to her lyrics, you're like, I want to be like her because she loves herself
Oh,
so much. You should love
Right?
yourself this much. Yep,
Yes.
we talk
yep.
about her and her knees on the podcast all the time. We
I love
probably
her.
should have an episode all about her knees and how she makes it work. But
I love her.
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Yes.
Hmm. Yep. So twerking for you, Megan.
All right. So, speaking of loving yourself, what is the sexiest item that you own?
I wish I was really exciting, but I'm not. So, the sexiest item. Oh, I have gold Louboutins. Louboutins.
Oh.
Oh yeah, she's gonna show them to
Okay,
us.
okay. So
Hey,
If
if
you're
you're on
watching,
Patreon, then
hmm
you get to see this.
oh, those are fly. Oh, I was gonna
Oh.
say, let us see the bottom.
Oh,
Yes,
and
girl,
my
yes.
and
those
my
are
husband
fly.
bought them for me because we were going to a really fancy wedding, and he saw my dress, so he bought them for me for Christmas because the wedding was on New Year's Eve.
Oh, oh, that's so perfect.
Oh.
Yes,
Yes,
go ahead, husband.
Yes,
All
I
yes,
right, we
love
see you. We
that.
see you.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
So now we're going to move into the sentence completions.
yeah.
So complete this sentence, Vanessa. One question or topic I wish people ask me about more often is.
Um, what is that? My thoughts on nutrition, not as it relates to race.
Oh,
Mm.
Because when you talk to Joy Bauer, you don't ask her what she thinks about race and nutrition. You ask her about how carbohydrates are broken down into the body. You can ask me that same question because I know the answer too.
oh, okay. Got you.
Ooh,
Got
You see what
that's
I'm
you.
an
saying?
important that is
Yes,
an
See what I'm
important
saying?
point.
exactly.
Yeah,
So they
Yes.
see a
yeah.
woman of color and they want to just kind of put you in the race box.
Correct. And
Automatically.
like I'm
Mm,
happy to talk about that, but like
yeah.
can you ask me about science too? Thanks.
Yes.
Because I
There
know
you
about
Yeah.
it.
go. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay. Come
Yeah.
on,
Yes.
y'all. You better
Yeah.
come with the
Yes.
right questions when you talk to
Yes.
Vanessa.
Yes,
Okay.
Do
please.
better, people. Do
Yes.
better.
Yes.
All right. So, Vanessa, This next sentence completion. The most embarrassing thing I've ever done to get my husband's attention is.
I don't. No, I'm not. I'm not. No, no,
She said she ain't doing it.
She's not putting it out there.
no. I'm saying like I don't. I didn't have to do anything to get anyone's
Oh,
attention.
Oh,
ew,
Yeah.
ew.
oh, okay.
She
No,
said
you
she
know.
got it like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so
This guy's like,
Challenge.
yeah. He's like, hello, I love you. I'm like, that's so good. I
I'm
got
like,
Yes.
thank
treat
you.
him mean, keep him keen. I don't give him any compliments. He's wonderful. He, he's always like Vanessa.
Crack it
The
up.
other, the other day, someone was like, "Oh, Michael, Vanessa says so many nice things about you." He was like, "Yeah, she would never tell me anything nice to my face because treat him mean, keep him keen." I'm like, "See, he knows."
He knows. He
He
got it
knows.
down.
Yes.
Well, this,
Yeah.
I think this sentence completion, I think you're going to enjoy this one.
Okay.
So, the last sentence completion we have for you is what I love most about myself is.
Um, that I'm really kind
Mm,
because I do care about other people and how I treat them and affect and like how I behave affects them.
yeah, we love it. That is
But
so
don't mess with me
awesome.
because then you'll wish you died. So there's that.
There you go. Okay, that part. There you
Yeah.
go. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Don't
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
twisted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Vanessa, we have 3 photos pulled up
Oh
from
boy.
your Instagram,
Oh, okay.
and we want you to choose a number between 1 and 3, and then we're going to share the screen and share with you the image that you chose.
Okay. 2.
2. I'm so happy you chose this one.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
here we go. Tell us more about this photo.
Uh, okay, so you guys should need to know that I actually like hate photos and Instagram and all of that. I don't like it, but I do have a really great team and my Instagram person, her name is Tiffany and she's a very good friend and we work really well together and she keeps me like super focused and on task and she's like I need you to make a video about this. She's great. And we were doing a photo shoot at a local artisanal pizza place in Hoboken. That is my friend's place, Dozino's. If anyone's in Hoboken, go check it out. And she was like, "Can you please give me pictures?" I'm like, "Leave me alone, Tiffany. No." And she's like, "Something. Give me anything." And so I made this face, and they took a picture, and then homegirl put it up on the gram.
Oh,
Oh,
She be
okay.
doing me dirty
I
like that all
love
the
it.
time.
I love it. It's definitely
Yes,
it's cute. It's definitely a
it
fun picture.
is.
Yeah,
I'm glad that she posted that. I'm glad
yeah,
that you chose that one too because I was curious about it.
Yes.
So we got the inside scoop on that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
honestly, Vanessa, we just want to thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
You just
thank
make
you.
nutrition, you just make this topic so much more approachable. And we appreciate
Yes.
having someone that can just break it down and make it approachable for us. And so you're just amazing. The work that you do is awesome, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. The work that you do is awesome, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate being on here. So thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you so much, lady. Do you want to tell folks where they can find you, where they can follow you, how they can sign up for Culina Health, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So if you want to work with us, culinahealth.com, you can actually go to team and book with anybody that you see that you feel connected to. You have all the bios up there, which is very fun. Follow us on Instagram, Culina Health, and you can follow me on Instagram at Vanessa Rissetto RD.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. It was so fun.